Okay, dear guys, in the previous class, we have discussed the sources of data. That is, two sources are there, primary sources and secondary sources. So primary data can be collected through respondents, experiments, simulation and panel that we have seen. And so we have already discussed how we can collect the data from the respondents and how from experimentation. Did we completed this? Information from the respondents, how we communicate, and then
No, sir.
structured interviews. Yes, we have completed, I think, all these things. We have also gone
Yes, sir, yes, we are completed.
sentence completion test, sociometry. These are all things we have completed. Word completion test, right? Pictorial technique, TAT, Rosenwick test, sociometry. Yes. So next is we will discuss about the focus group interview. So a focus group interview is one in which a group of people, 8 to 12 people, jointly participate in an interview that does not have structured question and answer. So 8 to 12 people will be there. Generally, you see the live debates every day in the morning in news channels. So it all come under focus group. So 8 to 12 people are there, and there is no structured question and answer method to obtain the information. So these interviews provide direct exposure to consumers about a new product, their discussions, their analysis. So this will provide what direct exposure or idea generation to the management. What idea we have to generate. So owners, for example, owners of Corning fiberglass radial tires manufacturing company wants to decide upon their dealer promotion program. So there is a tire manufacturing company, say CEAT or MRF, whatever tires. Like that, it is a foreign company, Corning fiberglass radial tires. So they want to decide upon their dealership program. So company thought that fiberglass tires are 15 to 20% less expensive than old steel radials. So they wanted to conduct. So they have conducted 15 focus group interviews and found that dealers are afraid of the problem that they had 8 years back when it has been introduced first time. So first time they have introduced it, and then it has been, they faced certain problems. Initially, when some product is introduced in the market, definitely it will have some problem. So when focus group is conducted with 8 to 10 dealers, they said that, okay, not a problem, but we are afraid that in the initial days we faced a lot of problems. So they have explained like that with the radial glasses. So promotional program should focus on assuring the dealers that minimum problems will occur, perform will be high, customers will accept. So like that, you have to convince them. So this how we can do means you have, when you go for an extensive focus group interview only. So they are expressing that problem. Now you have to address that. Now this time, don't worry. It is past is past. 8 years back, the situation is different. Now everything is changed. So don't worry about the customers. It will perform good. Like that, you have to convince them. But this promotional program have given less importance to the cost of the product. So how much cost you are going to incur, that is not mentioned here. So that is one of the drawbacks. So to whom you have to address that, with that group you can conduct this focus group interview. Next is third party or third person technique. When the respondents were asked, are you afraid to fly? Because of it, you are not are you afraid to fly? Because of it, you are not traveling by air. So if you are asking the questions like this to the customers, so very few people will give the indication of fear. Yes, I am afraid. That is why I am not traveling by air. I am very much afraid. I don't want to go in planes. They will say, no, I am not afraid to fly. Somebody, I mean, a majority, 95% will say that they hide their intention. Actually, they are also afraid of flying into the sky. No, I am not afraid. But cost of traveling by air is very high. Inconvenience caused in traveling reaching the airport is also very hectic, because when you want to go to fly in the air, you have to report to the airport minimum 3 hours before. Something which is very inconvenient to the people. Uncertainty in plane schedule during winter due to bad weather. This is also there. So because of these reasons, we are not flying, but otherwise we are okay. But their intention is they just afraid of that. So instead of asking the question directly, are you afraid to fly? So do you think that your neighbor is afraid to fly? You ask in an indirect way. This is third party technique. They say that they, now Indians are very much interested in neighbors issues. So then they respond and say a big yes, yes, yes. They are very afraid people. They don't know. So because there is no social pressure associated with him, he can say a number of things about his neighbor. Nobody will pressure him or her. So this is the how we can get the information through third party technique. Next, unstructured indirect interviews are there. Unstructured indirect interview. Indirect questions can be asked to the respondents in unstructured manner. For example, depth interview. Some same example can be taken which has given in unstructured direct interview. Where is unstructured direct interview? Just go to the unstructured direct interview. Where it is there? Word association test. Structured direct, structured indirect. Unstructured direct. Yeah, here what example we have given depth interviews. Yeah, same here we are taking. So you have to explain reveal your intention and ask. So customer preferences towards color TVs. So same example here also can be taken, which has given in unstructured direct interview. Same. So color it is also unstructured. They can give any answer. What is your opinion on color TVs like that? Indirect questions can be asked to the respondents in unstructured manner. Problem is same, but you are asking it in an indirect way. Whereas in direct interview means the questionnaire is already ready, it is printed, and simply you can go. But here what you are asking in unstructured manner. So there are certain errors in collecting the primary data. First, response error. Respondents willing to give answers, but investigator will not ask the question to get the response. Here the investigator mistake is that he or she will not ask the question, but whereas the respondent is ready. It may be because of questions which are embarrassing to him and her to ask. Investigator himself or herself is feeling that it is an embarrassing question. Why should I ask? They think that respondents cannot provide descriptive answers. Maybe the respondent is ready to write an essay also, but you are not answering. That is a one more thing. Or respondents had not responded well due to investigators' appearance. How we are appearing, that is also matters. For example, cosmetic study. She should be, I mean, investigator should be dressed like a modern woman. Respondents reported more examples cosmetics. So if a woman is conducting about the study on cosmetics, she should be dressed modernly so that the respondent will give the correct answers. If she is going in a traditional way, other investigators are dressed like matronly woman. Matronly woman means traditional one. Respondent may feel and they give very less expressions why she's coming in this attire and asking us about the cosmetics. No. So this error is called investigator cheating. Here the investigator himself or herself is cheating to the organization because they are not asking the questions that they feel that these questions are embarrassing, or they feel that the respondents are not ready to give in a descriptive way. So difficult one. So it can be removed it by callback. So you have to call back your investigator or the people who are collecting the data. You call back your interviewer. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel that customers what they think. Your duty is just to ask the questions. Then non-response error. An individual is included in the sample, but because of some reason he is not reached. So you have included already in the sample, but because of something, due to certain reasons, you could not able to reach them. So this is called non-response error. Sample size, suppose 100 members, but researcher contacted only 90 members. But researcher contacted only 90 members. He is unable to reach remaining 10 members. He is unable to reach remaining 10 members. So 90 you have reached, only 10 are left over. So this is called non-response error. So estimation of the population characteristics with 90 only. Then you should not say that your sample is 100 because you have failed to reach the 10 people. So your sample size is 90 only. Next. What are the different forms of communication interviews? One is personal interview, then is telephonic interview and mail interview. Personal interview means respondents contacted personally, obtain more information, higher cost for interview because you are going to them personally. Telephonic is over a phone and time constraint because you cannot talk hours and hours because she is not or he is not your friend or close friend that you can talk anything. So time constraint will be there. Sometimes they speak 5 minutes, sometimes they abruptly cut the call. So difficult to get the required answers. So it is moderate. Cost is moderate cost. So for example, are you watching TV? Which program? Who are the sponsors? Apply structured or unstructured style. So you have to ask like that. And then mail interview. Mail interview through the internet and whenever the respondent is free, he or she provides the information. It may be after 1 week also. So you are just mailing them and what? So the respondent can respond at any time. It is very cheap one. So there are certain demerits also. There is a higher problem of non-response error. For example, model response rate is 20 to 40% only because people are not habituated to write the reply emails. They just see it. So it is something difficult for you. You cannot get it. Then observation. So it is a method of gathering the information from the respondents. Not by asking the questions directly or indirectly, but by observing them. What is their current behavior and what is their past behavior. The importance of observation is instead of asking them about purchase behavior, just observe their past behaviors. If we ask, he or she may censor the information. Whichever is required for you, they only give that information. Because he or she feels it is an artificial situation, whereas if we observe, they may behave abnormally. So let's talk. So rather than asking the question directly, if somebody you ask, they give some polished answers also. Rather than you observe their behavior, it will be very easy. Observation, they don't know that you are observing, so it is less costly only. So next, observation techniques. The natural observation, contrived observation, direct and indirect observation, structured, unstructured observation, human observation, mechanical observation, disguised, non-disguised observation. So natural observation, it involves observing the behavior as it occurs normally in the environment. For example, sit in the shop and observe the behavior. So you are just sitting in the shop and observing all the customers. It is a natural one, right? Contrived observation means observing behavior in an artificial environment, simulated market store. Artificially you are observing. Next, direct observation. Current behavior in an artificial current behavior is estimated with current observation. So direct. Indirect observation means your current behavior is estimated with a record of past observation. Suppose you have been visited for a supermarket for 4 to 5 times in the last month. So they observe, based on that they can estimate your behavior, whether you are really purchased or you just come for window shopping or what you are seeing. Then structured observation. There is a special specification of what behavior should be observed and in which order. So this is structured observation. So which aspect you need to observe? You need to observe the price one, or in the what products where you want to observe their behavior. So some structures will be there. Unstructured observation, there is no such specification. You are not specifying everything you can observe. Human observation means people will observe, human will observe. Mechanical observation means machines will record the behavior. I mean CC cameras, any other thing. Mechanical observation. Next, disguised observation. If the people are unaware of by being observed by the person, so there may be certain hidden cams. So that is, customers do not know. Sometimes it will be written this area is under CCTV surveillance, but if it is not mentioned, then you feel that it is a disguised observation. You will be observed. Somebody is watching you. Non-disguised observation means if the people are aware of being observed, then it is a non-disguised observation. So there are certain major categories of observation methods of data collection. So observation collections are the data collection techniques. One is audit, then recording devices, and direct observation. Audit means distributors audit, consumers audit. Distributor audit is also known as retail audit. Consumer audit is also known as pantry audit. So first one, audit. Audit means continuously monitoring which products are purchased by the consumers. So what products he is regularly purchasing. It is of two types, distributor audit and consumer audit. So if you ask your distributor, he may give you the answer, yes, these products are moving very fastly. Please give us more product. So that is distributor audit. Select a sample of distributors and retail shops. Every morning record the inventory of each brand. Again in the evening also, closing stock of each brand you have to record. So we will come to know the behavior of consumers, present consumers. So old record books represent the past behavior also here. So information on market size, market share, brand wise and area wise, seasonal wise of purchasing patterns, what patterns people are changing, effective effects of promotional and price changes. If any advertisement is initiated, then how these sales are increasing or decreasing. These are all you will come to know by the direct distributor audit. Distributor audit is also known as retail audit. Next, consumer audit. Consumer audit is also known as pantry audit. So here we can select only few customers, go to their homes and take the record of inventory levels of each brand and date. So you are directly going to the consumer and recording everything. So that is pantry audit. Pantry means a kitchen place where everything will be cooked. You can see the pantry bogie in railway coach or rails also. Then recording devices. So there are three electronic devices to observe the behavior of the respondent. So devices used in the laboratory type of investigation. Another one is device used in the natural observation. So devices used in the laboratory type of investigation means eye camera, pupillometric camera, psychogalvanometer. Devices used in the natural observation are motion picture camera, video camera, audiometer. So first we will see the eye camera, which are using in laboratory session. Eye camera means respondents are given an advertisement. With the help of eye camera, observe the pattern in which the respondents have studied the advertisement. It will also be observed with the movement of eyes recorded in the eye camera. So you are directly giving an advertisement to the customer. You are by using eye camera, you are estimating his behavior, how his eye movements are there, or from where to where he is studying, where he started and where he is ending. These are all things. Pupillometric camera. A pupillometric camera is used to find out the dilation, I mean expansion and contraction of pupil of the eye. So how intense he is or she is in watching the advertisement. A contraction and expansion of pupil of the eyes, which is in the eye, which has seen various stimuli, how he is gazing, where he has stopped his gaze, there only, why he is watching for 1 or 2 minutes. What is that which is attracting him? So these are all we can study with the pupillometric camera. So then psychogalvanometer. So we can take measures to extent of respondents' response to the advertisement. So how, what extent they are responding, customers. So how the perspiration, I mean state of anxiety, perspiration rate, changes in the respondents while reading the and watching the advertisement. It happens. Every advertisement cannot be watched with the same intense. Few we will watch very intensely, few we will ignore, few we will watch moderately. So what is that perspiration rate? What is the anxiety the customers have? That can be decided by psychogalvanometer. Next, motion picture camera. This is in natural setup. So you know this motion picture camera, whether the customers read the information, publish it in labels, arrange the motion picture cameras in supermarkets, make the decisions by carefully observing the recorded behavior. This will be there. Audimeter. Audimeter means arranged in TV sets of panel members. Tell us how many times TV sets are turned on and turned off. How many times various stations have been watched, TV stations. So already a camera will be fitted in the television itself. That is audimeter. So the advantages is which program have been seen or not seen, which is the most competent program on the advertisement. These we can estimate TRP ratings. This can be done by these audimeters only. So panel members may not be the represent the population. How many people are watching cannot be find out. So like this. So these are all the things in the natural setting. Next, in the another class, we will see the different one. Uh, thank you. Do you have any doubts? Okay.